Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the DPC Division 2, starting a little bit sooner than we actually would have anticipated. Wolf Team versus Dreamers Esports. My name is DKTruman, and I'm once again joined by the lovely Bowie for a great evening of SA Dota.
Awesome. How are you doing, my dude?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. Looking forward towards it. I did have a really good series on Monday worth covering, so that definitely puts me in a superb mood. Looking forward to seeing what we get in this showdown. Tiny, of course, obviously in this patch, you know, what else would you expect? And on the opposing side, IO Mars. But in general, like, we're looking Wolf Team, Dreamers. Quickly break down, or well, you'll break down who you think is going to be advantageous in this showdown.
Wow. Okay. I just gotta mention this Enigma because I feel like that's a hero. I feel like Enigma 5 is really strong, and at the beginning of the DPC, some teams, I think specifically Tundra and Secret, kind of tried to play it. It didn't catch on, even though I think they even won some of those games. So it's I'm assuming this is gonna be Enigma 5. Obviously you can flex it. That's the beauty of having another role the Enigma can play. You can actually get it early and still, like, throughout the draft decide how you want to go. But yeah, it's just one of my favorite heroes. Sorry, had to talk about it. Going back to these two teams, I mean, I think overall this is a pretty close series. Both teams are 2-2, which means whoever loses here is like 99% incapable of moving to Division 1. I think it was Nair that looked at all of the DPC results that happened, and there was not a single team that with 3 losses advanced to Division 1. So it's a super important series for both teams, right?
I mean, one time has to be the first, right? You always have to be able to make that happen. But to be fair, I mean, we know what 2 teams are currently at the top, only 2 advance forward. And going into the season, you know, even though Wolf Team did 2-0 Noping and SG just looks superior to almost everyone else.
Yeah. It's gonna be a rough ride for both of these teams. They're kind of in the middle of the pack. You know, maybe with 2-2 they can try and fight for a tiebreaker or something like that sort. Losing here, though, I think really, like, dilutes the chances. But, you know, I think when you look at the results of Ravens, like, they lost to Noping and SG. I'm sorry.
Dreamers.
I don't know why I said... Yeah, I don't know why I said...
Ravens is the game after this.
Dude, okay. They lost... Well, they also lost to Noping SG. Just, yeah. So... They also lost to Noping SG, which means this is an easy game for Wolf Team because they actually beat Noping. That's it. That's
yes, because that's how Dota works. It's a whole rock, paper, scissors kind of game. He beats him, so we beat him. That's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, for Wolf Team, that will not be the case, most likely. I mean, Dreamers, both the Open qualified teams, Ravens and Dreamers, incredibly impressive performance coming from them. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they can bring further. I mean, they're still in the running, of course. A lot of teams are in the running to make it towards Division 1, but they, you know, someone's going to have to knock down Noping and SG Esports to make it to that point, and they don't really have, like, the only big opponent that they still have left is each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, like, they'll have to drop games against Noping and SG, right? They would have to drop games against unexpected teams to, like, so that either Dreamers or Wolf Team or any of these teams that are 2-2 could even dream of going, like, actually stealing one of those lots.
Well, to be fair, they still have to play against each other, so one of them is at least going to be 3-2. That means if any of the other teams wins everything, they will at least be playing playoffs.
But the question is, if it's actually SG, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because when you're fighting for the slot to Division 1, you play tiebreakers no matter what. I think it only looks at the standings if you're in the middle of the pack. Because Noping lost to Wolf Team, I was trying to get into the fact that they might, like, Wolf Team would just get that slot, but it doesn't work like that. You have to
I
play
think
Tiger
it's only the result between them if it's about money. But if it's like
Yes.
getting knocked out or advancing on towards Division 1, it's you get to play the playoffs.
But yeah, I mean, going back to the draft here, I actually really like this Enigma. I think it's a good response to the IO. It's a hero that we don't like. Usually, you see something like a Disruptor, right, being the response. But KJ, he's all about those micro heroes. This is why I think he's probably gonna be the guy to play this Enigma as a 5 position. Having that black hole against the relocate, or even like the fact that 2 heroes are always gonna be close to each other, really allows this Enigma to shine a little bit more. And it lanes really well. I think when you have, if this is possibly a tiny carry, or if they can get a self-sustaining carry, the Enigma 5 doesn't feel as weak. I know a lot of people perceive Enigma to be a very weak 5, but he is actually much stronger after all of the changes Enigma had, especially on Malphite.
I mean, yeah, if you get like the Eidolons, very annoying. You can, of course, deny your own range creep, which is very annoying for the opponents. Though Mars is...
You can pull with them too. That's pretty cool. Like, you can be in the lane helping your carry and still like have a way to pull without actually being there.
But of course, that is dependent on if this is going to be an Enigma 5. It could also still be a 4.
Timber,
doesn't,
right?
yeah, you've got...
Pretty...
With the Timber against 3 strength heroes, Timber's going to pretty much have a solo lane in that regard, and you can just put the Enigma in the jungle.
True. That it could be Enigma 4. You are right. It doesn't strike me as King RD hero though. I think he's really about the roaming aspect, playing alongside whatever it is that 40R is playing. They like to give him the invokers, the cops, and I think that Hoodwink has a big chance of being the 4 for Wolf Team. And they'll either pair this Tiny, that could be middle, or could also be the carry. So overall, I really like Wolf Team's draft. I think they have a lot of flex, but it's not like unnecessary flex. Everything looks pretty powerful regardless of how they place those heroes around the map. I really like their drafting.
It's always a solid addition to the roster, especially if it's not like a heavy core Enigma. You don't have to use that black hole, so you can always have it in the back pocket in case the enemy makes a mistake or they group up too much and you jump in, you annihilate them, which is a very nice threat. I am wondering though what Dreamers is going to pick up to counter it. Are you going Rubik, Silencer, or because you need something that pierces BKB and either silences or breaks, right? Or interrupts.
I mean, you don't have to. It's a delicate balance, because if you do, then they might play it as a 5. And after you see this Timber, I think you're pretty much likely to see Enigma 5 anyway. So I don't think they have to really address the Enigma. It's more about addressing this Tiny and Timbersaw. I think they are very likely going to be the cores. And so I like the Weaver because it can build Vessel. You do want to have a way to do a lot of damage to those tanky, bulky boys. So more than likely going to be, either it's going to be Weaver support on 4 or 5. You have this Mars that could be flexing mid and off lane, and CK. I mean, I guess CK could be flexing off lane too, but I assume it's going to be a carry.
Well, yeah, you're right on the fact that, I mean, possibly you could even make the Weaver safe lane and try and win the lane against the Timbersaw that way. It lanes pretty nicely with the IO. Because CK IO definitely normally gets absolutely destroyed. Like, Timbersaw gets to like level 4, level 5, and you can't even stand in the lane as a CK.
I think you're right. I actually would prefer the CK to be off lane. You just play mid Mars and you get a different carry. I think Weaver is really weak versus Enigma, generally speaking. Like, especially the Tiny. It's as a core, it gets bursted really easily, and they have so much burst on Wolf Team. I would like to see something a little bit more thick, a little bit more curvy for Dreamers. So maybe, Lifestealer, you don't see it every day, but I think it's generally strong. You can lane versus, you actually do really well versus Tiny. You do okay versus Timber in the first levels. Does benefit from IO a little bit.
Well, to be fair, if you're looking for actually, a little bit of a thick hero, then Dawnbreaker is the choice to go with. Obviously.
I mean, the problem is that it's a strength hero that has no dispel, right? You're still playing to Timber, so that is the hard part, I think.
I've seen some really good Dawnbreaker safe lanes though. Recently,
Yeah,
I can't remember who played it. There was.
I think Costa Bill played one game relatively recently. So they'll play Storm. So tiny carry for sure. Probably gonna be that Enigma 5 we talked about. Now Dreamers, what do you do here? They actually banned the Monkey King. I think that's kind of lanes okay versus the Storm, although later on it kind of doesn't do well versus Storm. But I feel like with the picks that Dreamers have, they're already relying on this sort of like not really a death ball, but I think they're already on a timer. I'm not sure there's a hero they can last pick here that's gonna look amazing besides maybe an anti-mage, but then you're playing anti-mage. Yeah,
I'm thinking the best hero that Dreamers could have gone for was probably the TA they banned themselves.
Yeah, TA would be pretty good, honestly.
That's a little bit unfortunate.
Gonna lie. I like the AM though. It could be a debate. If they don't go AM, you need something that can address this Timber lane. They even banned like Necro and Viper. Just to protect this Timber quite a bit. I think Tavo plays a really good Timber. Yeah.
Oh my lord! Bowie knows what he's talking about. Jeez Louise! Calls it Tivu on the anti-mage, and it is going to be the... yeah, a little bit of a swap around with the roles on the Dreamer side.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think the CK would just get destroyed by Tavo. You don't have good enough support so that the CK could shine in that lane. So I like that they actually send the CK to the off lane. It's gonna do well. But anti-mage is always a bad, right? You can't really know how it's gonna pan out. I think Elaine's okay versus Timber. The first levels are gonna be really important for Dreamers. Like, if they can somehow trade really well against Tavo, drain all of the mana at the beginning, you might just get this free lane for the AM. But they are playing Enigma 4. That is something that kind of worries me, unless Kingão plays 5 this game. If he actually stays in the tiny lane, and then KJ can play 4 and rotate. Because I really feel like when Wolf Team looks good is when 4DR and King RD are playing together. Because Tavo, he's a Timber. He's not a hero that can really make plays. Usually want the plays to go towards him, because he's the one drawing the people's attention. He's the one soaking damage. Yeah,
we're gonna quickly reconnect.
Okay.
I did say there was something wrong about the lobby, so they're gonna do the very quick picks and whatnot. So in the meantime, we'll get everything sorted so we can go to a caster cam while we set everything up.
Yeah, let me put my
1 second. Ready? But yeah, so yeah, the more you know.
There we go. Should be good.
And we are jumping to the caster cam.
Mage or whatever, but you can just like deny everything. Timber has awful base damage, so even if the Timber doesn't die, I think he can get shut down by like having.
Oh, they swapped it around. KJ's on the Enigma now.
Oh. Wait. Oh. Maybe that's what went wrong. I don't know, but that actually makes me much happier. I think that's the proper way to play that lineup. That's awesome. All right. I'm going 60-40 for Wolf Team here. I think they are the better team, and they have the slightly better draft. Dreamers
am not.
They have a lot of fire. Oh, really?
I'm going for Dreamers on game 1. I believe in the CK. I think CK in general is, especially with the change where he does like 1.5, like 50% more damage on creeps when he crits them. I honestly think that the hero is stupidly busted in the laning stage, and yeah, I believe in the Dreamers. I mean, I believe in both the qualifier teams. They are very impressive so far, and Wolf Team, I mean, I have high hopes for Dreamers, and Wolf Team are still a team I cannot really pin down exactly how they're gonna play.
Okay. So we have a Dreamer here, DKTruman, believing. I mean, I'm
always wrong though, so don't worry about that. Like, my predictions are horrible. I always lose against the Steenie.
All right. KJ is 12 and 8 on Enigma. That's not impressive. I'm gonna go 55-45 for Wolf
Yeah,
Team.
but look at that
I
IO
think-
though. Look at those IO win
Yeah,
rates.
dude.
Oh, that's nutty.
That is very good. That is, yeah. You know,
On
not
such
sure
a
if-
boring hero as well. Oh, the respect.
Prepare for
Mhm.
battle.
Mr. Blake. Okay. It's all going to be about this anti-mage, though. I think this hero, you know, I was actually listening to Cap and SVG talk a little bit about anti-mage, and one of the arguments that they mentioned is that like most of the creeps now have mana in the jungle. In the past, you know, a lot of those wouldn't have because they didn't really have any abilities. So that's one reason for anti-mage to jungle a little bit faster. But still, like, this hero is very reliant on laning stage. Like, it doesn't matter if you jungle a little bit faster if your lane is terrible. You're still going to be forced to farm that, you know, Vanguard into Battle Fury, as most carriers are doing nowadays.
Bravo.
So, oh, yeah, that's... yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
the chain. Does he get away? Yes, he does. Okay, not Rip Davo. Level chain, but to be fair, that's actually not bad to level at level.
Yeah, he does weaken his lane a little bit, but definitely better than dying, so he's going to be happy about that. And I really like the move that they did here. They also put down a ward. They're going to make sure they trade evenly. Maybe they can even trade better with bounties, because they know that Timbersaw not going to be present, so they get 3.
And that's a nice start coming out from the Dreamers. And it is, as expected, KJ bottom lane already denying the range creep, which is disastrous for the CK, of course. All that golden experience is gone. Mid matchup, Mars versus Storm. I mean, Storm doesn't have the best attack range of the mid laner, so this could definitely be a bit problematic if he's not careful.
It's a pretty even lane, I think. You know, Storm usually does pretty well against melee heroes, but Mars is like one of those exceptions. He has like more attack range than most melee heroes, and he also just does a lot of damage. It's definitely like skill based. I would say Storm has a slight edge, but overall it's like super even. Like you can see the matchup swing both ways.
Yeah, you can definitely outplay each other. I mean, you walk out of position one time, get speared underneath the tower, and you just die.
Yeah, I just walk to Remnant the range creep, suddenly your under tower gets slowed by the bulwark. It's can be pretty scary.
And bottom lane, HFN versus Draken and Blake. But, I mean, that's going to be also a pretty tough lane to kill off the CK. Like, he's a tanky boy, he's got that heal behind him. Generally, Enigma does, like, no damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see how KJ plays this game. I feel like this CK is gonna have a free lane, and it's really like his itemization is gonna be really important in this game. I hope he doesn't try to go like Echo Saber and go like too farm heavy. I would love to see an early blink. When I look at this Enigma, he's just a creep if the CK has blink and can just like, you know, blink stun ulti. So I feel like if the IO can tether someone else and the CK can be the one initiating with IO +1, it's so easy for them to burst people down. But they do have a Mars, and if he decides to go early blink, then Draken might be able to go for, you know, maybe an armlet or something of that sort, and then get blink later. Because going 2 blinks at once can be bad depending on the game.
Yeah, you miss a lot of stats, so once you finally actually take a full frontal fight, you tend to get absolutely obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Timbersaw is really good this game, but honestly, Tiny is not a hero that tends to love playing against tanky heroes.
Not at all. Yeah. Especially now that the magic damage of his combo got nerfed. I think anti-mage cares very little. Usually anti-mage actually is scared against burst damage. That's why, you know, PA is one of his worst matchups. But that's physical burst damage. Against Tiny, he's not gonna suffer that much unless the Tiny is like super far ahead, which could happen if the laning stage or the early mid game for Tibu ends up being bad. Right now though, it's looking pretty good. He's second in CS. Doesn't feel pressured at all.
And HFN is struggling in that bottom lane. Though he's got that support of everything being denied, HFN He has some struggles against this lane, taking a lot of damage. And I mean, KJ is constantly pulling the creep wave, which is not being countered at all by Blake. But yeah, it's not getting that much value out of it just yet.
Yeah, I think they have to be a little bit more careful on the side of Dreamers and block the small camp. I don't think these Enigmas should be allowed to pull like this, because, you know, he's by himself pulling, and they do have a lot of burst damage on him. So I would like to see this IO body blocking the small camp, because he doesn't fear this Enigma at all, but it looks like they'll leave it open. So once again, Wolf team kind of getting away with murder. That's usually how the Enigma fails, mid lane, when they actually get this.
Takes a lot of damage. King RD throws out his little coconut. Be able to do much in the process, and 40R gets the bottle refill in the meantime. So yeah, both 4 position, well, 4 and 5 position, roaming towards middle a little bit. I mean, that's kind of what you expect in the top lane. Tibu can't kill Tavo, Tavo can't kill Tibu, so there's literally nothing happening in that lane for the foreseeable future, which is great for AM.
Sorry, go on.
Which is really great for him. He's like he already has a ring of health, so what's there to fear?
Yeah, I mean, Tavo has no mana. Sure, he might get a soul ring eventually, but that's still gonna be like 1 spell until he's out of mana again. I don't feel like this Hoodwink will have enough burst damage so far. She'll need level 6. Yeah, this is looking good for Dreamers. That's the dream start that they needed. Dream start.
Oh no. Well, it definitely is looking good on their part, but this is also, you know, the nice mixed bag of South American Dota, because some games you watch and they're like 5 minutes in, 9 kills have happened. But when Wolf team tend to play, nothing tends to happen in the early game, because they're just really content farming it up as much as possible.
Yeah, I feel like Tavo is known for being a farming offlaner. So usually it's pretty much 4DR playing this 3 role, where Tavo kind of plays more like a 2.5 sort of player. Bottom lane, this Eye is taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, but he has a 14 magic wand charge as well, so this is okay. Nice damage you dealt him. Doesn't really care that much, because he'll regen it over time regardless. And
yeah.
HFN just lost a lot of his HP. He does not have the same regen capability. He has no regen with him.
I think it's this mistake. KJ not having a salve. It's going to take a while until it's here. This is going to slow down HFN's farm quite a bit. And I feel like Tiny is really a hero that relies a lot on that early farm, getting that early echo, so that you can get the shard at minute 15. Oh,
KJ, that should be first blood. Nice avalanche, but it's going to be first blood for Blake regardless. HFN is now in a little bit of a pickle. Yeah, these Eidolons do no damage to the CK. He's got double bracer. His power treads are coming in. Blake, in the meantime, is just going to rush the mech, and he only needs the recipe left.
I think that's a worthy death, though, for KJ, because he did deny the catapult with that. That's why he died. He kind of had to move forward. Oh, they're going to send a lot of heroes here.
HFN is already dead, though. But they should lose Draken in the process. Blake is just going to go for the straight TP. Goodbye. And it will be a 1-for-1 trade. But, you know, a rotation came through from King RD and 4DR for that one. And they lost HFN in the process. So, all things considered, Dreamers are definitely going to be happy with that one.
Totally. Like, they know there's no chance for the anti-mage to get ganked in the foreseeable future. So, that was awesome. I think you don't care at all that the CK died. They are actually taking a lot of damage here, but nicely done there with the Mana Void. Hava was trying to protect the catapult from the tower hits, but the catapult's gonna die, so this is gonna be huge for Dreamers. He might just need to disengage for a little bit, but as long as this tower is alive, he will have a nice steady time as anti-mage.
Biggie
bottom.
And Chimikov are taking a quad stack, while bottom lane in the meantime, KJ dies again, but a little bit of a fight coming out. Catch onto Miggy. The Mars is in trouble. 4DR zips forward, gets the kill, and the creeps, at least the camp gets the
17 charges on his wand. Pretty sure he I don't know if this is being played on Brazil or not.
Yeah, that was a... I mean, he definitely could have turned that around. Storm had no mana left.
I think he tried to press last second, and maybe the ping, you know, maybe if this is Brazil servers instead of
It's Argentinian servers.
Argentina. Okay, so they're both equally laggy. I'll give him a pass. 80 ping can be deceiving.
No excuses here. We're not gonna give him like, oh, they're playing with 80 ping.
He's the worst player I've ever seen. What a terrible, terrible play. How dare he even show up to Division 2? Okay, Phantasm 4DR has a lot of mana.
Chase onto Draken. They will be able to take him down in a second. In the meantime, Blake quickly gets away, jumps towards Miggy. They did find again the KJ kill bottom, but another forced TP from the Storm Spirit. Does of course get a kill for his troubles, but he is constantly being sent towards that bottom lane. And now Tibu farming up mid. He's got his power treads, Ring of Health, so he's loving life right now. That's should be a pretty decent timing for the Battle Fury.
Most definitely. That's a lot of space created for him. Tavo does get the tower though. He pretty much didn't leave top. Oh, Storm. Almost got the Blake kill.
But Blake is very close to the mech. That's gonna be such a massive nuisance. Blake on the IO is 4-0. All the kills that Dreamers have are on the IO. Of all the heroes in the game.
Oh, smoke breaks. No, we jinx him. He does that for neutral though. But yeah.
Well, that at the very least is okay-ish, but I mean, he saw a stack of
so
creeps.
close to the mech. You actually jinxed him so hard. How dare you?
I mean, to be fair, what was he doing? He was like, I'm smoked. I'm gonna kill this small camp. They'll never catch me. And then he just walks into KJ. Ooh, freebie.
Oh yeah, yeah. He did it. They had this ward, but I think that like before the arena cut the trees, he actually couldn't see the Enigma walking towards that area. So unfortunate timing in the night time for him. Still though, this is looking really good for Dreamers. We get to see this Timber Soul look very menacing. Tavo does get a couple of items now, so I think this is his time to shine. He's moving towards this Hood of Defiance. That the next 5 to 10 minutes is where this Timber Soul is gonna look the most impactful, and we'll see how much he can do. He actually has a lot of net worth. Even though the early game was kind of bad for him, he did stay in lane for a long time, so he recovered quite a bit. Even ahead of the Storm.
I'm actually baffled that HFN is ahead of Draken right now. Draken did die twice, but still, his HFN's lane was looking dreadful.
Yeah, that's tiny for you. That's the Battle Fury from the beginning of the game.
The better version of Sven.
And also, there were a lot of stacks done by KJ, right? We saw that one that they stole on the top side of the map. The large camp where Io died, and now this one that HFN is farming. There were a lot of stacks. Bottom though.
Tavo
Javito
is still not dead. Zip comes in, going in for Blake. Can he get the kill? There is a mech. He does blow him up. 2 supports taken out, and 4DR just needs to run away. They don't have a way to catch up, and 4DR escapes with murder. KJ is nearby. He's smoked up, has a black hole as well. And a great move from 4DR.
All right, let's see what happens here. By the way, I do like the build that KJ is going for, the early Arcane Boots. I think it's much more impactful, being able to spam conversion and also Malphite. Like, the cooldown on Black Hole is so long that just rushing Blink a lot of times feels terrible. Because, like, sure, you get one Black Hole early, but then you're useless for 3 minutes. I think just having Malphite and position yourself well can grant you a lot of kills. Like, Malphite got buffed quite a bit from the old times where it was actually a terrible spell.
Oh, 4DR in mid. Accidentally vortexes himself. Loses a lot of mana. Is being chased down by Tibu. Almost got taken down in one fell swoop. I mean, that is kind of the threat that you're up against every single time you try and jump an anti-mage. He sees you coming from a mile away, so you really kind of need to bait out the electric vortex counterspell mechanic.
As that happened though, it feels like HFN got a lot of space from the moves that Wolf Team is doing in the bottom lane. So he already surpassed his anti-mage, which is bound to happen. But this Battle Fury, even though he had kind of a free early game, I don't feel like he abused it as much as he would like. He should probably have Battle Fury right now. and he's still a little bit far away from it. Still needs like 2 minutes probably till he has it. So the timing is not going to be perfect.
Yeah, 50 minutes is about the benchmark. You get it any sooner, it's pretty a-okay. Storm Spirit's almost done with the Orchid though. That's gonna make things a lot tougher for the Dreamers. Like 40R has been honestly the reason why they're currently ahead. He's been making plays in that bottom lane specifically a lot of the time, so really stepping up for his squad.
Yeah, I also really like the way Tavo's playing. He's been defending this bottom lane for a while now, and because he survived that gank, they're yet to take pressure out of the map to give more space for the anti-mage. I think that's a big reason why he's not farming as fast as, you know, usually anti-mages would. That tier 1 tower being open just gives them less farm overall, and he's just forced to farm, you know, suboptimal places. Really nicely done there by Tavo. He kind of sacrifices a little bit of farm he could get top, but he, you know, not only he protects bottom, he's even taking this tower here. Tibu kind of forced to defend now with a TP.
Yeah, normally by about 8 minutes, your offlane duo takes down 8 to 12, take down the enemy tier 1 tower in the offlane. But in this case, it's still standing, and that is a problem because this entire area should be farmed by the anti-mage the entire time. Like, he should have free farm in that area, his triangle, his teammate plays at the moment at that time, but they are not giving him any space to farm. And currently, as you can see on the chart, all 3 the Wolf team cores are at the top.
Well, they're going for an aggressive move here. They... Okay, what? KJ just blinks forward, so he tanks this gank without knowing he was gonna tank this gank. That's, you know, prime position 5 play right there.
They're unstoppable.
Playing a dangerous game. So is Tavo going in for Draken Blake. Can he get him healed up and out of trouble? Yes, indeed. Gets the relocate going. But will probably get immediately annihilated afterwards because there's no one that he can jump to. Actually, they're sending in the illusion from the CK to see if he can tether to it, but it's a little bit too far away. Gets silenced as well. The Orchid, and yeah, Draken will then use the illusion to farm up instead.
This was good. It allowed the anti-mage to finally get that bottom tower we're talking about. He keeps on accelerating towards that Yasha. In the mid lane, they would like to use this catapult to take the tier 1 medal. They have terrible push though, so let's see how much they're going to be able to do here. Knowing that there's no arena, I think this move still makes sense for both team. Let's see if they can actually get a good fight going. KJ has Blink. They got to be careful about it.
Jimmy Goff, another death on the Weaver. That's his 5th already. They will find King RD in return, but look at the damage coming out. Black hole on top. Draken is dead. First black hole of the game. He has held him in place for a little bit longer.
Back. He had the Mac the whole time there. That's so weird.
He's had that a couple of fights where you just don't see the mech really being used. And yeah, they're starting to struggle on the side of Dreamers there. Early game, not as fantastic as a Timbersaw.
Yeah, I mean, really good move by Wolf Team, honestly. I feel like at the end of the day, because Dreamers actually got the Enigma instead of the Tiny, they were never able to push mid. And without having that arena cooldown, Wolf Team correctly identifies they can just group up middle and take the tower. Very nicely done. I think their objective taking, their macro game on the side of team is looking good. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to. They do have this Orchid, as you pointed out, on the Storm for a while now. And that's going to be the weak timing of the Dreamers draft. Until this AM has Manta, he will be very, very scared, especially because you have this Blink on the Enigma. Oh, wait, why am I saying Enigma has Blink?
Yeah, you said it previously at the high ground as well. I just saw him standing still, and I was like,
there for no reason. Okay, maybe I'm actually going old. I was so confused. But yeah, sorry. There's no Blink, no Storm, zip in.
I mean, who cares if you need Blink if you've got Storm who completely holds them together every single time and you could just walk in. Add in a little bit of pain, not even having to use the Malefice there, just dropping the Midnight Pulse, which is of course excellent against all those nice, nasty strength heroes. I mean, to be fair, that is kind of Enigma. It is superb against strength heroes.
that Midnight Pulse. You know, a lot of people thought that it was a nerf, but it's actually a buff for support Enigma, because you don't really care about solo killing people, you just want to do as much damage as possible. And when you're against full HP heroes, it is much more powerful. Big zip.
Yeah, big zip. Silence onto Tibu. He's in trouble. Can the heal go on? No, Blake can't keep him alive. And now Blake's going to be the third one to die. They're looking for more. Draken disengages and Tibu does die. But they are just getting overrun right now by the Wolf team and can't really find it. I mean, Wolf team are at the moment just grouping up as 4/5 and constantly roaming around to get kills. And Dreamers are walking right into them.
This was a really weird move. I have no idea why the anti-mage was like with the team showing lane. You know, there's so much open space in the left side of the map, or even mid. I think they could have tried to force a fight there while the anti-mage takes the mid-tier 1 tower. They also had Mars dead. Just a weird macro game coming from Dreamers, and I think Wolf team is, you know, just outplaying them with their moves around the map. The vision is really good, right? If you look at Dreamers, they actually have really nice vision of the dire big Radiant big jungle, but they're just not using it properly. They're not pushing their waves, and that doesn't really allow them to smoke or just like invade the Radiant jungle and get pickoffs. They've been struggling for the last 10 minutes to actually like use this Mars blink or even the Eye or relocate aggressively.
I mean, CK also didn't go for the item that you wanted to see there. Trying to go for HFN top lane. He has 3k HP. Is pretty tanky. Can they get the damage in enough? It's close. It's close. Tavo's here. HFN Shadowblade. Bye. And that means they are severely lacking in damage in that situation. They just tried to TP out. Miggy relocated them from Blake, but he is not going to be able to save Miggy. And probably is going to lose his life immediately afterwards as well. So, yeah. Going for a tiny with 3k HP plus 17 armor it's not great.
There's a lot of wrong things with that play. Like they had no dust. I think Io just bought the sentries. I'm pretty sure he didn't have the dust in the sentries when they went for that play. So they're just desperate. They're going for whatever shows up. And what showed up was a very tanky, bulky boy in the form of an HFN. So also very like super close to tier 1 tower. Low percentage play. And yeah, I mean, we're talking about the CK. Like, I don't know why offlane CKs go so much for the Echo Saber when they are playing aggressive like this, because he's not using the Echo Saber to farm, and then I feel like he really loses a lot of its value, especially when you're behind, right? They have very tanky boys on the side of Wolf team, so it's not gonna be the difference maker in getting a kill. I think what really makes the difference is having enough heroes at the same time hitting the same hero, which they didn't have that time. The Weaver was not with them, so unfortunate.
Okay, Jay is going for the first item, BKB on the Enigma instead of the Blink, and that means he'll just walk into the fight, pop his black hole, and there is nothing they can do about it. Which is kind of the downside of their draft. Initially expected. King RD does not get speared by Migi, but Draken does do the damage with the Phantasm. Find at least a kill. HFN running away, even yeeting back the Ogre Bruiser. And we'll be able to easily disengage. They lose a Hoodwink, but who cares? That is, of course, Tibu continuing to farm. He is second in net worth, but he is definitely struggling. I mean, how can he bring the damage that is enough to deal with this Timber Saw and Tiny later on? This Tiny is getting absolutely out of control. And a really big fat piece of rock. Plus the Timber Saw, you know, 2 heroes that just won't die. Timber Saw also has the shard now, so that he's got extra pushing power. Not that they necessarily need it, because they have a Tiny in the lineup. The only thing that they lack on the side of Wolf Team is Roche capabilities.
Yeah, their Roche taking is mediocre for sure. But like, they have so much better late game on the side of Wolf. Jesus Christ, the Weaver just explodes to Tavo's burst damage. But yeah, as I was saying, I feel like their late game is so good that there's no rush whatsoever. They're just winning in the timing that Dreamer is supposed to be stronger. Well, that's very disheartening to see. Even though the laning stage ended up going well, you can see how Wolf Team's macro this game was just much superior. Dreamers, they're outplaying themselves pretty much with the way they're playing.
relocate bottom so that they can go on to Tibu, and Blake can take Tibu out of there. However, he's almost getting soloed by the Timber Saw at the moment. Ooh, the Timber Chain does not connect, and Blake is actually dead before the relocate goes off.
Oh no. I'm pretty sure he had mana for the mech with the 1+.
Oh, 40R makes a mistake. He does the exact same mistake. He zips in and tries to Electric Vortex Tibu, and then just gets stunned himself. Tibu turns around, Manta style. 3 hits, Mana Void dead. And that is a huge kill.
Yeah, that's how they come back into this game. I think 4DR has to be very careful with the way he plays, because they just gave this draft another 5 minutes of breathing time just because the anti-mage got... Look at him. He just buys the orb and he has point booster. So he's just 2,000 gold away from the Scotty just from that kill alone. Like, he got 1,000 gold from killing 4DR with that wicked 6 streak.
Peek off, run away. He's Tiny running towards him. A very scary Silver Edge BKB Tiny. And Draken, he's also in the area, just getting nearly 2-shot. Oh my lord. Yeah, the power of Tiny in this patch is a little bit insane heading into the Roche pit right now. They don't actually have a... Like, they've got Arena, and that's their entire Roche fight.
It could be enough, but you know, with CK dead, it's impossible. So they'll just have to give it away. I'm not even sure why they're scanning, because they're in no position of doing anything about it. So they'll try to eat the map as much as they can. It's going to be a tier 2 tower for Tibu. They do have that BKB on Mars. I feel like the problem this game really is the CK. Like, he gets the blink now, but it's going to feel so much more underwhelming. They, like, that Echo Saber did nothing for him the whole game, because they were hunting for kills, and they would just hunt much better if he had anything else, honestly.
Big zip, Jimmy cough. Weaver trying to cut the mid creep wave, and 4DR smells it, sees it, takes it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure T-Boost is supposed to do that instead of him. He's way too weak right now, so... Unfortunate. But he was probably scared of that too. True.
So he's a decent amount more
big.
survivable.
First, the Tiny, you know, the attack speed slow really hurts Tiny a lot. I hope someone goes for Shivas eventually. I think the best buyer for that would probably be the Mars. Not really a Mars item per se, but it's just so good for Tiny. Oh,
Tavo, but there's the weird mechanic with the Reality Rift. Can he get away? Mana Void. His mana is now drained. The stun comes out, flying from miles away. They get the control, and that is Tavo losing his life, and that is also Tavo's, if I'm not mistaken, first death of the game as well. So 4DR and Tavo were having a pretty much perfect game for a while, but Tibu gets both those kills, and he just finished up the Scotty. Another $1,000 in the bag. Not too shabby.
Yeah, not at all. This is worrisome. You know, the Storm didn't go for Lincolns as well. He's going for that BKB, which is not a problem. But
thank you.
I think my int died. I have no idea what
you hear you. Maybe we're talking with our minds instead of the internet.
I have no idea. I think my internet just gave way, and hopefully that won't be a problem for the stream. But the game's also paused? Wait, what happened? Because my Discord also disconnected.
Really?
I mean, you froze for me, so now I'm very confused.
Yeah, and nothing really happened. King RD paused for a second, but they're back. But yeah, I was just saying that even though Wolf Team played pretty well the first part of the early game, I think that Storm mistake is kind of snowballing into this anti-mage being so close to level 25. So there's like an actual chance Tibu might be able to solo carry this game if he plays well. The matchup versus Tiny is like weird. It's like Tiny actually gets a lot of physical damage now, and he forces towers really well, so they might just be able to force towers. But Wolf Team, they threw a couple of games just like going a little bit too hard in finishing the games early. So we'll see what happens.
HFN has a moon shard. Well, he's trying to just push out all the buildings in no time. Hopefully win that way.
Dude.
But look at this, where Tibu is. A courier snipe. Gonna use the illusions to cut the creep wave. But there are no creeps, so they can't. I mean, they take the tier 3 tower, but they can't really do much more until they get a creep wave pushed in. Tibu needs to get back. He's going for the Ags on anti-mage. Nice cutting of the tree there, but he's in trouble. Black hole comes out. Blake trying to heal him up, and he can't keep him alive. Relocate also not going to be able to be useful. There's no buyback available onto Tibu, and I guess that's GG.
Yeah, I think so. Dude, if he didn't use the Manta illusion mid and just hit the laning stat, he would have the Manta to dodge the Orchid there, and he wouldn't die, so... I think he was way too scared being middle. Like, he had vision of a fair amount of heroes where he didn't have to Manta mid and TP back to base. And yeah, now I just lost the game because Tiny is gigantic. And yeah, I mean, that was probably going to happen, honestly, Wolf Team. They played the early mid game really well. And they just gave way too much free space for Tiny. Like, if you actually solo farm, you let AM and Tiny farming by themselves, the Tiny team is always going to be happier. So let's go. They will jump and die.
Draken gets skill onto KJ, but now he's dead. Blake is like, you know, I want to, my mech's on cooldown. I don't want to use it, but it's on cooldown. So I'm just hide here in Fountain. GG gets called. And yeah, Dreamers get... Honestly, like, the early laning stage looked really well for the Dreamers, but you mentioned it a couple of times, the macro gaming was, I mean, they looked lost. The Weaver got caught everywhere. They were making the weirdest rotations. They try and take unfavorable fights.
Very useless, not gonna lie. Like, I feel like, how much damage did the Weaver do this game? 4,000. So the IO that was literally healing the whole game dealt more damage than the Weaver. It didn't feel impactful at all. You know, you have these two very mobile cores on the Storm and the Timber, so like being on top of those heroes doesn't really do that much for the Weaver. So yeah, I think that pick wasn't great, but overall, nicely played by Wolf Team. I think they showed up. Their draft looked much better. And even though the lanes were kind of weak, which kind of goes back to the Enigma not being, you know, super strong in lane, but it was strong enough so that they didn't got stomped, and eventually HFN just outfarmed
Well, I think
everyone.
they did get stomped. I just think 40R, just, like, his rotation saved the lane. Like, otherwise, the HFN would have had an atrocious game, but the two rotations towards the bottom lane definitely, in my eyes at least, made it really tough for Draken, who then all of a sudden started falling behind. Couldn't really make plays because you mentioned it as well. Echo Saber not really best for making any plays, and was a bit of a struggle. I mean, Weaver also didn't help by dying 9 times in a very short amount of time. But regardless, Wolf Team came out ahead. I'm again wrong, and that's why I mentioned it. I tend to almost always be wrong, and well, we'll see in game number 2 if that is going to continue. We'll be right back after a short break.